fingers on?
You can stand right in the middle if you would want.
Oh. He's up.
Cell phones outside.
You're gonna be your shades on.
I have them on the top of my head.
Alright, guys. You can come in front of the flag and just stand in the middle if you want. It's okay. I'd rather have it look deep than wide, so if you want to condense and just come
Come on,
in.
everybody, come on over.
Come on in, thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.
If I sold
I thought it was just mom.
and that's too.
I'm not a dad.
You don't know us. You would be. Hey, ladies, I'm gonna have you come in even more.
I don't want to block the kid in front. Yeah. I don't want to block the kid.
You're gonna have her hold this. Give it to Kari when she has work.
Okay.
You're also.
All right. You ready?
I'm gonna give this to you guys.
You guys want your signs?
Olivia, Sean, come here. I'm gonna put you literally right in the middle.
Literally
Just fill
right
in. I want it to be. Thank you.
How you doing? Good. How are you?
Good. Okay, Cole, you wanna stand right here? It's always here. Stand right. I'm gonna bring you in too. My kiddos, come here. Come up here.
I can see it. You're fine. Share.
You could hold it directly in front of my body.
Yes. Just throw in Kari.
I have it behind her, so I think I'm fine.
Character vibes.
Well, you have a kid. What part of double duty?
I can multitask if you need me to.
I'm gonna give this one to you, just to kind of hold. Thank you.
Come here, Bubba. Stand with Mama. You gotta stand up because Mama can't hold you and Jojo this way. So can you stand up like a big boy?
Yeah. My hair told me that when I stepped outside.
Oh, it does. Alright guys, she's on her way. She's gonna this way, so give her a little room. You got it?
What?
Both of them.
Oh, wait, here, let's move this.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite.
Don't say it out.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Hi, everyone. Oh, my gosh. How's everyone doing? I've missed you guys.
I missed you too.
You're giving something away. Well, they've been giving something away, unfortunately. You've all joined us together today, and we really appreciate you being here. Each and every one of you, even the ones who I've given a hard time over the past months and years. And my team has informed me, actually, is it true, hundreds of text messages from media all over saying, what's the announcement? What kind of an announcement? Any guesses?
U.S. Senate.
U.S. Senate, well, not today. But I do know that it would make a lot of the people here upset if that's what I announce. And so, therefore, I must consider that because that would make me happy. We have just been through a lot the last 7 months, the people of Arizona. We've been through a lot for a while. I know, I feel like roaring too. I feel like roaring too. And, you know, we worked really hard on our election case. We had the strongest election day in the strongest election case in the entire country. And we went through the legal system, and we did not get the verdict that we wanted. Obviously, you all know that. We needed people with courage to act courageously, and we didn't get that. We proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that our elections are a mess. We've shown and we've proved with evidence that chain of custody wasn't followed. We've proven that signature verification is a joke, that it's not even being done, that it's not being done properly when it is being done. And we've proven that the good people of Arizona have been disenfranchised. When they showed up on election day to vote, and they had to wait in the heat for 4 hours, and their vote didn't count, it was spit out. Sometimes the ballots are thrown into garbage bags to be taken downtown and counted. We're the laughing stock of elections here in Arizona. And while that was not the verdict I hoped for, I truly did expect that. I was not shocked by that verdict yesterday, and it will not deter me, not at all. The system is corrupt from top to bottom. And the only way to get an honest system and to root out corruption is to identify it, see it, and lay it all out for everyone to see. And I think we've done a pretty good job at that. I believe that Arizonans now realize that their elections are a mess. This facade that they've been putting on of cameras and transparency, it's a joke. They want to call it a hiccup. It is like projectile vomiting. It's not a hiccup. What they're doing is so wrong to the people of this state. And I'm never going to stop fighting for the people of this state. When I got into this because I wanted to root out corruption and return our government back to we the people. And we did everything right. The people showed up in droves to vote, only to have their sacred vote trampled upon. And so we're going to work to correct that. If we choose to do the easy thing over the right thing, we will lose our country. And there's been far too many people choosing to do the easy thing, choosing to line their pockets, choosing to take the easy road, and the corrupt road, frankly. We're going to take the hard road, which is the right road, and we're going to continue to fight. So I'm going to tell you what we've been up to. We have been working nonstop to put together a team, and we are officially launching the largest, most extensive ballot chasing operation in our state's history, and frankly, possibly in American history. The courts just ruled that this corrupt election will stand. The courts just ruled that our elections can run lawlessly. The courts have ruled that anything goes. Well, we can play by those same rules, okay? If anything goes, then anything goes. And we are going to start chasing ballots like you've never seen. And I've got an army of moms and dads and citizens behind me who are ready to chase ballots. Because if it's just a ballot that matters, then we can chase ballots too. And we're going to do that. We've got to work in this rigged, corrupt system, and we can do it. We will not allow them to steal another election from we the people. We want our government back. And right now, we have people sitting in these offices at our government who are not duly elected. So we have taken, and we've got millions of dollars committed. We have thousands of volunteers who are dedicated to this. We are better at doing everything, better than the left at doing everything. We know we have better candidates. They put forth people who can't even string 2 or 3 words together. They put forth people who aren't even healthy enough to hold office, who aren't mentally healthy enough to hold office, because they can't find good people who actually will push the garbage they're pushing on America. And they will, as we've seen, do anything possible to stop we the people from taking back our government. But we the people are going to stand up. We've been playing checkers, they've been playing chess, and we're going to start, we're going to show up to a knife fight with a gun, not a knife, okay? We are going to take our massive movement, and we're going to make sure that we employ every single person in it, volunteers, mothers, fathers, individuals, students, even the kids are involved because it's their future that we're fighting for. And we are going to get out there and register voters. We're going to register every man, woman, child, dog, saguaro, Gila monster, Hey, if the left plays that way, maybe we should start playing that way.
Yes.
I'm being facetious. I'm sure that'll be your headline. But there are no rules where the left comes in. There's no rules at all. We are going to push the envelope. The courts have ruled that anything goes. If anything goes, then anything goes. And we're going to make sure that we push the envelope, the legal envelope, as far as we can push it. And at the same time, we are going to continue to fight our court case. We're not stopping here. We're not stopping with one judge in Mesa who's ruled against us time and time again. We're going to keep going. And we know that the people of this great state want me to stay in this fight. The people of this great country want us to stay in this fight. And we have proof of that. We know it. And the people who are sitting in these state offices, who took control of our government, they know they're frauds. They absolutely know they're frauds, and we all do. In Maricopa County, our incredible movement showed up on Election Day, November 8th. And they voted 75% to put America first and put Arizona first. And when they went to the polls to cast their vote, 60% of our polling locations were not working. The locations failed and they were forced to wait in the hot sun for 3 to 4, 5, or 6 hours. We cannot trust Maricopa County to give our voters a fair chance. We can't trust the buffoons running our elections in Maricopa County anymore. And we can't leave any vote on the table. So we're going to work on our ballot chasing operation. We are ready. It's funded. We're ready to go. 87% of our voters are on the permanent early voter list. And while you know how I feel about mail-in ballots, if this is the game we have to play, if we got to work in their rigged system, we'll work in their rigged system. 218,000 Republicans are on that list. And guess what? They didn't vote in 2022. 332,000 independents are on that list, and they didn't vote in 2022. If you do the math, that's about 500,000 Republicans and independents who were mailed a ballot and let Election Day pass with that ballot sitting on their kitchen table. We're not going to let that happen anymore. We're not going to let that happen. We will identify these voters, we will earn their vote, and then we will go out there and get their vote. We'll make sure that vote makes it back down to the county where these criminals and crooks are operating. And you know what? We're going to inundate them with so many mail-in ballots, their heads are going to spin. So the person who's going to be helping with this, this incredible movement that we're going to start pushing, you guys are just going to love her, I know many of you do already, is a woman who I'm impressed with. I met her a couple of years ago. She's one of the Grassroots' favorite people, Marissa Hamilton. She's going to lead this up. This is Save Arizona. Our Save Arizona Fund is going to be multi-pronged. We're going to have Marissa helping us and with this movement, and we're also going to continue to not only raise funds, but energy for our legal team to continue pushing our case to the United States Supreme Court. Because we've got to fight this. So I'd like to introduce Marissa Hamilton. She's going to tell us a little bit more about the plan. She's incredibly gifted, and she's not volunteering. We're actually going to put this woman to work, and we're going to pay her what she's worth, and we're going to get out here, and we're going to paint the state red. Come on in.
Let's go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As many of you know, I have been working hard to take back Arizona for many years. I was previously in the supply chain and food service industry, and I saw under Obama the hostile takeover that was happening to our food supply, and I looked at it as really a national security crisis. At the same time, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and I was helping women and children and moms to be able to get free from their abusers, and I found that government made it harder every step of the way. And as I kept working to help people, I found that at every step, government didn't really work for the people. It made it harder. But the worst part is that it didn't stop there. You know, when I worked for Councilman Sal DeCiccio in constituent services, I was getting hundreds of calls of problems that our voters were having back in 2018. And so I decided to step up. I worked in the adjudication, and I saw terrible things happening in a system that was set up to fail, that was set up to fail our voters and to fail in securing our vote. And so back then, before many people even thought that this was a concern, I had been fighting to be able to have elections that worked as well as our supply chain. To at least be able to know where our ballots are coming from, where they're going, make sure only legal voters are able to vote. But I quickly learned that that was not going to be enough to save our country. And so we got active, we started mobilizing people. I decided to go back to the private sector, only to find out that our banking industry was now trying to destroy our personal wealth with ESG policies. And so I looked at it as every single foundation that made America great was under attack. And we needed to mobilize the people to take action to save our country, because that is what the founders created our country to be by, of, and for the people. And so I am so thankful for Kari. She has created the most massive grassroots movement in the nation. And I can say that with authority because I've actually traveled the country and visited the grassroots around the nation. And every single person asks me, how do we do what you're doing here in Arizona? Well, the good news is we're taking it up a notch. We are going to empower every single freedom-loving voter in Arizona to save our state. When I ran for Phoenix mayor in 2020, I knew that it was an uphill battle. I know how it feels right now to be in this moment. But we didn't back down. We kept moving forward, and we've done amazing things in this state. But we still have more work to do. And so I am so thankful that we are going to be, if there is any voter out there that's listening right now, if you are tired with the inflation that you see, if you're tired of seeing empty shelves at the grocery store, if you're tired of not being able to let your kids play outside because it's not safe, if you don't know what to do about the propaganda in the classroom, if you are struggling, a senior struggling, living on a fixed income, join us. We need every man, woman, and child to join us to save Arizona. We have a place for you. We will get you involved. We are going to register voters. We are going to educate voters with what's on their ballot. And you know, we know this model works because we just did it in Southern Arizona, and just with a handful of money, just a few $100s, we were able to defeat a $300,000 effort to bring the Green New Deal into Arizona through Prop 412. And the grassroots crushed it. And so we are going to do the same all over Arizona. We will mobilize. We will teach the grassroots how to register voters. We will show up at every single location within our communities, and we're going to take Arizona back. We're going to save the state, and we're going to save the country.
That's right. Awesome. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you so much.
And I really want to thank you, Kari, because you have you have given us hope. Where people felt like they should just stay home, you gave them a reason to show up and vote, and you're giving them a reason to fight back. And at every single front, you have never given up, you have never sold out, and I'm just so thankful for you being in this movement and leading our state.
Thank you. Marissa, thank you so much. We're so lucky to have Marissa. Things just work out that way sometimes where somebody frees up, their life frees up at the moment when they're needed. And I kind of could say that happened with me. When I walked away from my career in the news, I guess it's called propaganda now, I had no idea that God would send me on a path, that he would send me on a path into politics. As a matter of fact, if I would have even imagined that, I probably would have said, no, I'm not doing it. But the amazing people, many of them behind us, look at these faces. These are the faces of Arizona behind us, by the way. Each and every one of us are the faces of Arizona, and we represent our neighbors and our families. We don't like what's happening. We don't like the corruption. We don't like the cartels running the show. So when they encouraged me to run and I decided to step in, I know God had his hand on me, and he has his hand on us right now. And God's telling us that we didn't ever tell you this was going to be easy, but we did tell you that we need you. And God needs us right now to step forward to save our country. If America goes down, the whole world goes down. And right now, because of elections that are run like they run in banana republics, we have a guy named Joe Biden sitting in the White House. This is why the inflation. This is why the wide open border. And we're seeing a microcosm of it here in Arizona. We saw what happened in 2020. I know that many of you didn't cover it. Maybe you couldn't cover it because your bosses wouldn't let you. It happened again in 22 on a bigger scale, believe it or not. They had to cheat even bigger in 22 because our movement, this beautiful movement you see behind me, is so massive that they had to go balls to the wall to cheat. And we're going to start rolling up our sleeves and playing by the same rules they play by. You know, and when you get a fed up mom who plays by those rules, watch out, because we're not letting this happen again. Do we have any questions? Oh, I always start with Jordan.
All right, so I mean, sorry, so,
I'm sorry, I got to start with the honest.
right, that's what they want to call me, because I'm the only one giving you fair coverage. This wasn't going to be a question I asked you, but you know, I heard some troubling things before you came out to your press conference. I heard Howie Fisher. I thought he said you're going to be part of President Trump's fourth right. It turns out he actually said you're announcing you're going to be President Trump's fourth wife. So,
Wow.
regardless of the disgusting joke, we've got all the left-wing media here trashing you. We've got one guy who's taking $100 Venmos from Stephen Richer. I overheard that. What does it tell you about their coverage of your election, of your future, you know, political proceedings, and also your case?
Well, I don't expect to get fair coverage. I think there was a survey during the election where 87% of the news coverage on Republican candidates was negative, done by the people in the fake news. And there was one candidate in that survey who had 100% negative coverage, and it was me. They're so worried about me. I take that, honestly, I'm flattered, because it tells me that people like Howie, who just made apparently a joke like that you just said, Jordan, that's not a joke. A journalist shouldn't say that. And they obviously don't want me, okay? Because I represent we the people. They like status quo. They like the corrupt system. I'm disappointed that Howie would do that with Arizona Capitol Times. They cover the Capitol. When you have that kind of stuff being said, how much fair coverage are you really going to get from an outlet when they're saying that behind the microphone, right? I suppose if you're going to say that behind the microphone, it should end up in the story. If that's your opinion, whether it be Bram doing the most insincere reporting on our case, who wasn't even there for the trial. Channel 12 was supposed to be the pool camera where Bram works, and they didn't show up. They didn't show up. Yeah, Bram Resnick from Channel 12. They didn't show up with the camera because they didn't want the world to see our coverage. They didn't want the world to see coverage of our court case. And by them being the pool camera and not showing up over at 12 News, they prevented anybody else from being the pool camera. But they don't want people to see what's happening in our elections. That's why they won't cover it fairly. And I encourage every Arizona and every American watching right now, don't give these people your attention. Don't tune in even for 1 second to them. Don't click on their fake news stories. Your attention, your time, your eyes are worth so much to them. Don't give it to them. Do you have a fair question, Howie?
Fair question, and I'm happy to sit down with you and discuss stuff going on and with your PR guy.
Well, no, he's not a PR guy, actually. He's not a PR guy. He actually covers things fairly.
This guy over here in the hat, he apparently gets $100 Venmos from Steve Richer.
May I ask you?
Yes. Let's let Howie ask a question.
What I'm trying to understand is, it sounded at the beginning like you said we've had a good run, and it sounded like there was no appeal, but then you talked about going to the Supreme Court. Is there going to be an appeal on this?
There is going to be an appeal. And I'm not prepared right now to tell you exactly what our path is, because we're looking at several paths. Not one, not two, several. But you've not seen the last of our case, and Bram's going to have to cover it again, and I'm sure he'll twist it and spin it. But you haven't seen the last of it, because we have the best case. We have evidence, unlike these gaslighting people in the media who want to make you say, like, there's no evidence. I can't help it if they're not smart enough to dig through and look at the evidence. But we've got plenty of evidence, and we're going to continue to pursue it. And our legal team will continue to pursue
I guess
it.
my question is, I'm assuming you've read the judge's decision yesterday.
Yeah.
And I have too. He said some of the evidence you presented is legally irrelevant. The number of seconds it takes to review signatures, that it was your team that chose to pursue the course that said we were going to prove there was no signature verification. So it's not a question of not evidence. The question is, what relevant evidence do you have?
We have relevant evidence that 300,000 roughly ballots were approved in less than 3 seconds. It takes a full second for the ballot image to pop up on the screen. We had an incredible witness, not a witness, I'm sorry, an expert, a world-renowned expert on this, who said it's impossible to do that. And we also found out, Howie, and I don't think this has been in any of your reporting, that there were an additional 99 people authorized to do voter signature verification behind closed doors in their office, at home, sitting in their underwear on their sofa. Stephen Richer and Bill Gates, who ran the election, and by the way, also ran a super PAC raising money to try to bring me down because they don't like America First candidates who want to question corruption in our election. Those two get to approve signatures behind closed doors where no one can see it. That's not transparency, Howie. Do you think it's...
Wasn't relevant.
That's one person, and as I said, the system is corrupt from top to bottom. That's one person. No, Howie, let me ask you a quick question. Do you think that just clicking like this, approve, 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 is signature verification? Do you think that?
What I think is irrelevant, what the judge said, again, in the 6-page opinion, is
I know
that-
what the judge said, I read it.
Is that...
I'm asking you, do you think you can approve a signature like that? I think the judge even knows you can't.
I think
The judge even knows you can't.
I think that perhaps that if you have two signatures that come up on the screen...
They don't come up, you have to scroll down.
No, you scroll down for additional signatures. That's
Yep.
the point.
It's not possible. It's not possible, Howie. And we are showing this. We're showing it, we're proving it. The whole world is seeing what they're doing. And guess what? If they're doing it in Maricopa County, there's a really good chance they're doing it in a county near you. Any other questions? Who are you with, real quick?
I work for the Arizona agenda. Do you believe that the judges who ruled against you are in some way in bed with the cartels, or why did you just bring up the cartels again?
I brought up the cartels because they're in control of our border. And frankly, we have a cartel lawyer sitting in our Secretary of State's office. The same one who, when Marissa started noticing problems back in 2018, was sitting in Richard's desk. Adrian Fontes used to be the county recorder. And I believe he ushered in a lot of the troubles that we're seeing in 2018. And now he's sitting, I believe fraudulently, at the Secretary of State's office. And you can bet that he's not there trying to clean up our elections, okay? Yeah, as a matter of fact, on the third day of our trial, the one that Howie is talking about, the one that Brum never showed up at, but put out a really biased report, one of the worst I've ever seen, they were actually doing certification for this next election for the electronic voting machines, and Marissa was one of the witnesses there. Would you care to talk about what happened?
Yeah.
Because I think this is appalling, and I really believe if you guys want to cover elections fairly, you should talk about this. I didn't see it in any of your reporting yet, Marissa.
If we could, Ms. Lake, first, would you just answer if you think that the judges...
Yeah, really quick, I want her to talk about this.
Adrian Fontes is?
Do I what?
Could you answer if you think the judges are also in bed with the cartels?
I don't know that. I don't know that. It sounds like you're insinuating that. I don't know that.
Did this come from your team, your people?
My team hasn't said that.
All right, well...
My team has not said that.
Who all support you, have gone through this stuff.
It sounds like you're saying that. It sounds like you're suggesting that the judges...
I'm making this up. Thanks. Ms.
Okay. I haven't heard that from my people. I haven't heard that from my people. I don't know that, and I am still a journalist at heart. I don't throw those kind of accusations like you just threw out.
So on Friday, I served as the official Republican Party of Arizona observer at this machine certification process. Again, my background is in the supply chain, specifically in technology, so this is an area that I have a lot of expertise in and also a lot of concerns with. What I witnessed was exactly what I previously accused it of being. It is essentially a vendor-driven, glorified sales demo. And it was very disturbing to see some of the new features that this voting machine, it happened to be Dominion, plans for our elections. I think that our legislature needs to take a close look at this, but more so, every jurisdiction that uses voting machines, they need to take a very close look at the security behind these systems. In this case, the test plan that was created failed before lunch. We went to lunch. They changed the test plan to try to make it pass for the machine. That's not the way that you test machines. That is a sales demo. That is not acceptable. We should not be holding such low standards in Arizona. And so I was really disturbed by the process that I saw. I've published my comments. I hope that they make it into the official meeting minutes. But if not, I have also published them on my website and on Twitter. So this is why we need every single person to stand up and get involved, get out there, talk to your neighbors, let them know about the issues, register voters, and make sure that they get out to vote in the next election. And so for everyone that wants to participate, I ask you to go to karilake.com or savearizonafund.com, because we are going to save Arizona together.
That's right. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you, Marissa. And that's really worth reporting, what happened on that test. I mean, am I the only one who thinks that out there? I hope that you all think. I know Jordan.
I have a question for Marissa.
Oh, go ahead.
So that sounds similar to some words that former Maricopa County Supervisor Steve Chupri said in some leaked audio tapes that he resigned over. He spoke about the Texas Dominion quote-unquote testing, where it was just more like a sales demo. Is that kind of...
So,
speak more to that?
yeah, thank you for asking that question. I've evaluated the way that different states evaluate their machines. Colorado, for example, prints multiple page reports on every single machine that they review. Texas does a process where they don't let the vendors drive a sales demo. They actually have their employees test the machines and see how it works. And they failed using this particular model of equipment, I'm sorry, not model, but brand of equipment, because they didn't find it to be user-friendly. That was definitely evident in the test that I saw. They found that it was prone to failure, definitely evident in the test that I saw, and there was a number of security issues that they had, and I saw similar security issues that I documented. So yeah, this is a problem that has been documented across the country. It is time that we have a jurisdiction take this seriously and do something about it, and at a minimum adopt the same technology standards that have that are in the private industries. We have best practices. For some reason, our government doesn't want to adopt it. I think that our elections are the most important government function that exists. We should have the highest level of standards at every part of the election process, from voter registration down to tabulation, down to reconciliation to certification.
So basically, you're saying the vulnerabilities that you found in the, as you said, sales demo was pretty much the same thing that happened on election day, where over 50% of the machines failed Republican voters.
So I believe that the challenges that we saw on election day definitely can be pointed back to the certification process, because it is not a complete process. You cannot have a vendor driving a sales demo and expect that your election day operations are going to function. I think that if we took a serious look as to how we certify not just the machines, but the entire process, like for example, I was told that they are not going to certify some of the run-back equipment that Maricopa County uses to do ballot duplication. I have concerns with that. My understanding is that there is some type of software in that basically suggests to the users what choices they should select on the ballot when it's unclear. That's not okay. And so we need to take a comprehensive look at every election process when it comes to voter registration. We don't have proper master data management processes currently governing our voter registration process. When it comes to testing the ballots, testing the machines ahead of time, none of those processes are truly to the standard that would happen in the private sector. When I did this role in the private sector, we had a solid test case process that the users actually participated in. I didn't see that happen. And so this is a big problem. We deserve best in class election procedures. That's not happening. And so we're going to teach the grassroots how our elections operate, and we're going to hold our elected officials accountable to get a process that Arizonans deserve.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, your name and who are you with? The Arizona Republic.
Question, for you, chasing ballots, I'm not clear as to what you mean by that. Can you help us understand more fully what that entails, who is funding this operation, your role within it, and how involved you intend to be day to day? I see Representative Fincham with us.
Yep.
Is he involved? Can you sketch out what that operation looks like, who's funding it, what it will do?
Well, the people of Arizona want us to fight hard to secure our elections. So the people are behind this, the real people. You know, it's interesting that when you look at who's funding some of these big Democrat operations, you find out it's laundered money, it's our tax money going to Ukraine, coming back through FTX, being funneled into all of these PACs. It's outrageous. I don't see a lot of coverage of that. Our funds are coming from real people. As a matter of fact, come on over, Megan. This is just a couple of months of letters we get when people send in money to Save Arizona Fund. They're sending it in because they care about our elections. They know that here in Arizona, we're at the tip of the spear, and we're going to turn these things around. And they care about the elections in their own communities. And, for example, dear Kari and team, thank you for taking up the fight. You represent all of us who are working to get our country back. God bless you. Kari, never give up the fight for America, Arizona, and our freedom. Kari, you give us all hope. Please keep fighting. Here's one. Dear Kari, my humble $20 donation for your continued fights against the evils at the Arizona and DC cartels. This is a $20 check. This came from Sun City West. I mean, guys, I could go through this whole thing. These letters move me to tears. They move me to tears. What's going on in our elections. And the people are the ones who are helping us. They want our case to go forward. They want us to fight this because they know if we don't fight this now, we're losing our country. It's not fun. I have been offered bribes to get out of politics. We have such a huge movement. They're afraid of this movement being back on the ballot. It's true, Bram. They're afraid of this movement being back on the ballot. I've actually had someone show up at my door, pretty powerful person, offer me money to not run for office again. They don't want my name on the ballot. Offered me whatever I wanted to put our movement on ice for 2 years.
But to be clear, Kari, are you going to be receiving any funding for this effort?
We are going to continue to take donations if people can. I'm not here begging for donations, guys. It's difficult putting food on the table right now in Joe Biden's economy. It's very difficult. So I'm not asking for donations. I want you to all know that. I am asking for people to get involved. Marissa's going to help. We're going to get people motivated. Excuse me, just a minute. The people who do make donations is going toward paying for our legal fund, for getting the word out about what's happening. Why should somebody in New Jersey, New York, Minnesota care about Arizona elections, or Montana? You know why they should care? Because when you have a mega, M-E-G-A, not MAGA, although I do believe it's a MAGA county. When you have a mega county like Maricopa running elections the way Stephen Richer and his group are, it affects even places where they're running elections well. Doesn't matter if a small county in Pennsylvania or a small county in Iowa is running elections well. When you are rigging elections down here in Maricopa County, that ruins everybody else's vote. It takes away others' vote. And we're going to turn this around, and then we're going to turn every other state where they are rigging elections around, because the people want our government back. Chasing ballots means going to doors, knocking on them, and making sure that people are getting those ballots back. We're going to make sure they get the ballots back. We're not going to do it the illegal way like the Democrats do, and they run their harvesting operations. Harvesting is illegal, but chasing isn't. And we got an army of people who are ready to chase ballots and turn voters into activists. Your name and who are you with? Oh, wow. I remember your last story. Interesting.
Can you give us a sense of what kind of technology or vendors you are going to be using to chase these ballots, like Superfeed or any other sort of very
No,
specific
I don't think we're ready to go into all of those specifics, and Marissa's pulling a plan together, and we'll eventually be able to answer those questions. But we're going to use every legal way we can, and we are going to push the envelopes. The judges have basically said anything goes. It doesn't matter. Anything goes. Election laws are just suggestions. So if anything goes, anything goes.
Can you show us in the ruling where it says that question, Ms. Lake?
Bram, you have a question from 12 News.
Your lawyers have lost every case
they've tried. They've been sanctioned twice in 2 different courts for misleading the court. Are you going to stick with them as you pursue this appeal?
I know you love everything you just said. You think it's, yeah, well, we're working in a very corrupt system, and you can't see it. I know that, you know.
Are your lawyers part of that corruption?
No, they're not, actually. I have incredible attorneys, Bram. And I think the first time I met you, Bram, was at a story where you're always, what I'm trying to say is you're always on the wrong side. You're always on the wrong side. We were at a story where we were fighting as mothers. I was leading a rally at ASU, it was 115-degree heat, leading a rally to get our students out of masks. And Bram was standing there rooting for our kids to be masked up. You're on the wrong side of history. And I remember distinctly that day because you refused to say the Pledge of Allegiance and put your hand on your heart. So that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. It's unfortunate.
What I remember.
And I'm keeping, let me answer the question.
No, what I remember that day is you just making shit up.
We have little kids here. We have children here.
No, I didn't make anything up. I'm right. Our children should not have been in masks. They shouldn't have been in masks. They're not healthy for our children. And you were there cheerleading for masks and vaccines, like you have been. You're cheerleading for Maricopa County to continue to run shoddy elections. And we're not okay with it, and that's fine. You don't have to say the pledge, you're in America. But it tells me everything I need to know about where you stand with this country. I'll get to you in just a second. Your name and what organization are you with? Yeah, just for the audience. People are watching worldwide.
I just want to follow up on Ron's question. He was asking about funding. You mentioned that you're going to get Marissa and pay her what she's worth. Are you going to be paying yourself any income?
Nope, I haven't made any income. I haven't made any income. I've been living off my savings. I had a wonderful, illustrious career, and I'm living off my savings. You shouldn't get into politics and get rich. And these people who are, there's a real problem with that, okay? I'm living off my savings. We will be paying Marissa. She's going to be working her heart out. And she deserves to be paid. But I'm going to continue to fight because guess what? My paycheck, your 401k, your pension, whatever, what does it matter when we lose our country? And we are dangerously close to losing our country right now. And I know some people might want that. They may want to turn us into a globalist, socialist, communist country. Maybe some people are okay with that. I'm not. And I don't think anyone behind me is okay with that. No. Your name and who you're with? AP?
Yeah, was it a mistake to discourage mail-in voting?
I never discouraged that. I have probably 100 instances, and if you go back and look at my Rumble page, when I did all of the Q&As, when I did all the Ask Me Anythings because my opponent wouldn't debate, I said every time when people ask, how should I vote? I said, vote whatever way you're comfortable with. If you have a mail-in ballot, on your kitchen counter, get it in. If you want to vote on Election Day, by all means, vote on Election Day. Just vote. I said that at least 100 times, and I'm sure that Ross can help you track it down. That was Tom Liddy, our Maricopa County, one of our prosecutors, lie. He lied about that, which isn't shocking.
But Kelly Ward, in fact, did encourage.
Wait, do we have any other questions from anybody who hasn't asked one yet? Pardon me? No, I heard somebody speaking. Go ahead, Al.
But Kelly Ward did, and we've got the tape of her saying, bring your
I'm
ballot
sorry.
in.
Wait, really quickly. Somebody didn't get a question? Did you have a question? Sure. Who are you and who you're with?
You said twice you're going to push the envelope with the Save America or Save Arizona operation. Can you explain a little bit further what you mean by that? What you intend to do?
Yep.
Push the envelope. What does that mean?
That means we are not stopping at 50 miles an hour, we're going 100 miles an hour toward winning the next election. And we are going to contact every voter, make sure that if they have a ballot sitting on their counter, we help them get that ballot to where it needs to go. And we're going to register people to vote. We're going to register everybody we can to vote. And we are going to turn our state around. We're going to take it back. Because this government belongs to we the people.
You said for the next election.
I believe.
What election do you want to influence next?
Well, the next election that's big is 2024. And so we want to make sure we have more people registered to vote. They're getting their ballots in. If they choose to show up on Election Day, we're going to make sure they're getting there. There's no excuses. And we're not just going to leave it to a few nonprofits here or there, a few organizations. We are all, each of us moms, because these beautiful kids are the future, and we want to make sure our kids have a future. We are going to get involved. We don't need to have an organization behind us, although our organization is going to help make sure we get all the moms and dads and students out there, and we are individually going to take the responsibility to take back our government and to save our state. We're on the verge of collapse with this border wide open, and I know that the powers that be didn't want a governor like me to go in there and secure that border and turn our elections around and reform them so that every Democrat, Independent, and Republican alike knows that their one legal vote actually counts and that the results are valid. Wait, hold up. Jordan has a question.
Jordan Conrad from Gateway Funded. So I want to ask about this because it's pretty new information and it does tie back to your lawsuit, in my opinion. Many of the same leftist hacks and so-called journalists that are calling you a liar, a grifter, a election denier, same with President Trump, same with Blake Mather, not Blake Mather, Abe Hamadeh. They were the ones that were pushing this Russia collusion hoax.
Yeah.
Come to find out, it was the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Yep.
I know.
That's right.
It's actually like a stupid
Well, and this is why their subscriptions and everything is, and their viewership is not almost non-existent, because people have figured out that they're lying. And so, listen, this is about our state and our country. It truly is. And I know that many of you have written really negative, nasty stories about me and reported unfairly. It doesn't matter to me what you say about me. I really don't care. I care about what God thinks about me. And I know that God's watching over us. And I want to save our country for my kids who aren't so little anymore, but for these beautiful faces we see over here, these precious kids. That's why we're in this. It's about their future. And I actually, believe it or not, I want to make sure that all of you people in the media, many of you who are very, very liberal, I want your vote to count fairly as well. I really, truly do. That's the honest to God truth. Did I miss anybody on a question? Mark, Channel 15 is not going to ask a question. It's interesting.
I had to step out for something. Sorry.
Did you have a question or no?
Yeah, and you may have already answered this, and I apologize. But could you explain to me this effort you're going to have to follow the ballot? How does that work?
We'll find out who's been given ballots, who's on the early voting list, and we will make sure that check that they got the ballot, and then we will check, double check, triple check, and make sure they get it filled out and it gets sent back in. But we're not going to leave that to chance. We're not going to hit just 10% of the households. We're going to strive to hit every single person who's got a ballot. But we're also going to try to talk to them, and we're going to talk to them about our policies, because even though you guys have lied, many of you have lied and called me extremist and right-wing and all of that, it's unfortunate. Maybe the only extreme thing about me is I'm extremely concerned about our country. I'm extremely concerned about our country. And we can't get the solutions needed. The common sense solutions, they're not right-wing radical solutions. Every Democrat I know wants to make sure their kids don't get their hands on fentanyl. I think every Democrat parent wants to make sure that when their kids go to the park to play, that they're not accosted by somebody who's deranged and on drugs. I think every Democrat, when they pass the zone in Phoenix and see a homeless encampment the size of a town, that they're upset by that. Our policies brought forth solutions to fix these problems. And that's what we want, common sense policies to solve the problems that are facing our country and our state. And we have to, first and foremost, we have to reform our elections, because if we're not choosing our elected officials, if they're being selected, then we can never solve these problems. And so that's our goal. That is our goal, simply. You can call me whatever you want. I'm an America First patriot who loves my country. I'm an America First mom who wants my children to have a future. Howie, one more.
I know you're going to appeal, and I appreciate that. And I know there's some federal issues which deals with the U.S. Supreme Court. Are you going to be a candidate for anything in 2024?
I haven't made up my mind on that. I really haven't. I mean, I know that we won, and I think we won in massive numbers this election. And I am focused on our court case. It's not over. It is not over, and we'll see. I know that it would really irritate many of you here if I did run, and there's a little part of me that finds some joy in that, especially certain people who can't seem to report fairly at all. But more importantly, I'm really worried about our people here in Arizona, and having representation, having somebody who is a public service or a public servant representing them here and making sure that we are doing everything we can to fight for our state. Not fighting for special interests, not fighting for, some lobbying firm back in DC. We need people who are fighting for Arizonans. And so it's on the back of my mind. I am considering it. I'll be honest, I am considering it. Any?
More for both you and Marissa.
Okay.
I can get one more.
Let me take this question real quick, and then we need to wrap it up. I'm being told we need to we have another meeting.
The ballot chasing operation you're describing, registering voters, contacting them, everybody who gets a ballot, sounds like sort of the nuts and bolts basics of a campaign. Did you drop the ball on that?
No, we didn't. We didn't drop the ball on anything. We worked our butts off. We knocked on doors. How many of you knocked on doors in this? How many of you knocked on doors in the heat? We did it. We did it well. But we're going to take it next level. We're going to take it next level. Our judges have basically ruled that lawless elections are fine. You just don't really have to follow this or that. It's all just a recommendation. And so,
it sort of sounds like you're planning to ignore the law.
no, we'd never ignore the law. We would never do that. Any other questions? Did I catch everybody? I think you already got a question, right? Okay.
Want to do another?
No, I don't actually, because I would. Actually, I would. Unlike the fraud who's sitting in the governor's office right now, she won't answer your questions. She runs from you. She literally runs from you. I only ran from you once, and I didn't run. I walked away because you refused to say the national anthem. It's really unfortunate. That's the kind of people in the media, by the way. They don't love our country, many of them. They don't want secure elections. They'd rather fight against us than work with us to make sure that we have honest elections. Because I want all of you guys' vote to count. And I'm really appalled that you guys didn't seem to care about Republicans when their votes weren't counting. You need to do some soul searching, heavy duty soul searching. I think we'll leave it at that. If you have further questions for Marissa, I think she'll make herself available. And I appreciate you all being here. And if you need water, we'd be happy to give it to you. I know it's hot out, and looking forward to working with you, and hopefully you'll cover this fairly. Thank you so much. I'd love to see it, yeah. I'm not thrilled that you started with a